Home, Chapter 51, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction written and narrated by Miraculous. Artwork by XAA. You can find a link to the artist in the description box. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to stay up to date on the latest parts of your favorite fanfiction, as well as supporting the YouTube algorithm by liking this video and leaving a comment in the comments section. If you don't know what to comment, put Marinette wept. Now then, please enjoy Home, Chapter 51. Marinette Dupang Chang as Ladybug. Ladybug was glad no one on her team asked questions, even Rena Rouge. The evening had passed, leaving her exhausted from the responsibilities that came before her personal life. First and foremost, as recommended by the Order of the Guardians, she transported Emily Agreste to them with the barrier unblocked so she didn't have to haul a body up those steps again. Then she collected the Miraculous from her teammates, texted her parents, and finally, went back to Adrian's apartment and detransformed, all but crawling into his bed, too exhausted to cry. Even so, she wept. Marinette wept, and there was nothing Tiki could do to comfort her. They'd done it. They'd finally achieved their goal, together, but it felt like nearly everything had been ripped away from her. Unexpectedly, Marinette got to keep the Miraculous. She was still the Guardian. She still had Tiki and her memories, but she'd lost everything. She'd lost Cat Noir, and somehow he was everything. She'd take Akuma fights and traumatize citizens every single day for the rest of her life if it meant having him back, and sane, however selfish it was. But he was right. Paris wasn't home for him right now. At least, not anymore. But he was hers. What did he expect her to do without him? Days passed, then weeks, and finally, months. Months passed, leaving more questions than answers. Everyone wanted to know what happened to the Agrestes, but it was left to speculation. Kidnapping? Well, sort of, although Marinette would never tell the press. A long vacation? Also partially true. Gabriel's famous seclusion finally turned suicidal? No, although that article brought police to the manor. No one, not even Alia, knew the truth besides Marinette, and even she couldn't ease her friend's tears about what happened to him. She finally, as Ladybug, made the rounds to tell Nino and Alia that she made sure he was safe. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the most truthful statement she'd ever spoken aloud. Marinette spent her nights gracing her pillowcase with tears as Adrian's apartment sat, fully furnished but empty. Finally, she decided to do what Adrian had. Finish school online and at an accelerated pace. She also convinced her parents to let her move out, and of course there was only one place to move into. Even so, her boyfriend's flat didn't feel like home. Ex-boyfriend? Marinette wasn't sure, but at least it felt better than staying in the bakery. She loved her parents, but it felt off staying there now. No, this was the better choice. Surely it was. As time passed, she learned to cry less. Seeing his face, Adrian's face, still stung, a bittersweet heartthrob that she clung to, or perhaps even yearned for. She'd learned, in one of the articles of a magazine Adrian was featured in, that sometimes trauma victims don't break down until they're safe. Be it a car accident or domestic violence, those affected seem to be collected until the threat is removed, and then they break down. Apparently, it's some kind of defense mechanism the body or the brain puts up. Their shields stay until they aren't needed, and the dam they held back bursts through, even if they let a little trickle through during their trauma. Was that what happened to Adrian? How he was fine until the order took Gabriel and he disappeared behind oak doors? The echoes of his sobs still haunted her, a plague when nightfall came. Was he doing all right? Was he still at the temple? Marinette had to resist the urge to use the Miraculous to check up on him. Sometimes it was better to not know. She wanted him to be happy. She did, but seeing him happy without her might hurt even more than her current frustrations. More months passed, and, after much speculation from the press as to Ladybug's whereabouts, Marinette began to face the public again, without a cat-eared partner by her side. She teamed up with her past partners to host events and do fundraisers or assist the first responders in dire situations. It helped a bit, took the edge off, but her life still seemed unbalanced. Her life was imbalanced without a cat Noir. Sure, she missed Adrian. How could she not? But this, she thought, was worse than a breakup. She'd never experienced a breakup before, but surely these cruel emotions that grasped her would have left her alone by now if he hadn't been her dual-sided partner. If he hadn't been her home. A year passed, and then another. And although it still hurt to think about, a tender scar that blemished all of her memories of him, Marinette found it easier to bring up Cat Noir. She stopped dodging interview questions about what happened to him, and she stopped tearing up in the middle of the night. She still lived on her own, in his old apartment, but it was hers now, in every sense of the word. And finally, on the night of her 20th birthday, Marinette went to blow out her bedside candle and go to bed, tired from the day, when she heard a rustling from behind the window that didn't sound like a pedestrian or traffic. Moving quietly, she pressed herself to the frame, unable to see anything unusual through the screen letting in the night air. "Hello, Princess." A figure spoke, a shadow she hadn't seen from the other side, and like any sane person would do, she reacted in self-defense. Marinette sucker punched the person on the other side of the screen in the throat, tearing the screen itself before slamming the window closed and locking it. Grabbing a baseball bat, she made it all the way to the bathroom to transform before she realized the shape of the figure she'd punched. They were wearing cat ears. Her hope betraying her, Marinette carefully stepped back, moving from heel to toe on the floor. There was no way. There was no way he would be here. Not after all this time, right? Like he said, there was nothing left for him in Paris. A comment that she'd spent far too many hours in therapy for. But sure enough, framed by the window, Marinette saw something, or rather someone, that brought tears to her eyes. Gasping for air on the other side of the glass was her partner. Cat Noir was on the other side of the wall. Thank you so much for listening. Chapter 52 is on its way. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction. If you haven't already, don't forget to not only subscribe and hit the bell, but also leave a comment and a like in support. If you don't know what to comment, put "sucker punched." I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!